Hello, I'm Mark Blunden, and this is the Evening Standard's Tech and Science Daily. Coming up, revealed why the dinosaurs grew to be so massive. But first, Nevermind earthly crop circles, space scientists are scratching their heads over the discovery of near-perfect round sand dunes on the surface of Mars. They were revealed by the University of Arizona's high-resolution imaging experiment camera, flying 185 miles above the red planet on the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, and the images suggest the strange dunes were blown south by unpredictable Martian winds. The HiRISE project is primarily examining how Martian frost disappears in the late winter, and these circular dunes appear to be free from frost. While dunes have been observed previously, these kinds of circles are an incredibly unusual observation for the HiRISE camera. Want to see the images for yourself? You can click on the Evening Standard story in this podcast's description. Now, the menace of space junk, and some 60,000 satellites are expected to be revolving around the Earth by the end of the decade. Following a new study called Protect Earth's Orbit, scientists are calling for a global treaty to prevent pollution in space and its risk to Earth's seas and land.
The more that we're putting up in space and the more collisions that are happening, with the more collisions there's more fragments, which again increases the probability of even further collisions. It's really starting to limit how we can use space and even go into space in the future.
That's the University of Plymouth's Dr. Imogen, study lead author and an oceans plastic pollution specialist, speaking to Tech and Science Daily podcast from a Bahamas research project.
Even after a satellite is complete, it's done its job, it's a dead satellite up in orbit, it's meant to deorbit, meaning that it comes back down to Earth, and the majority of it should burn up, and it would burn up, but there is a small proportion that can fall back down to Earth and either go onto the oceans or into the land.
And Dr. Napper explains what they're calling for.
Currently, there's no framework for international collaboration to protect Earth's orbit or international treaty that seeks to minimise orbital debris. So what we're asking for is to have these discussions early and get everyone around the table and say, hey, how can we protect orbit and make sure it's sustainable for the future?
Next, some of the finishing touches are being put to a momentous or irritating, depending on your point of view, new development on London's tube network. That's underground 5G. So how fast is it?
We've seen speeds, believe it or not, over a gig at night when there's no one present. A typical speed would be 300 to 400 within the stations, which is incredibly fast, and between 100 and 200 in the tunnels. That's Ken Ranger, Chief Operating Officer of BAI Communications, the network's infrastructure firm making it happen with new cabling and transmitters. And he explained where it's now first available. Today there's service on portions of 3 lines. On the Jubilee line between Westminster and North Greenwich, the Northern line between Archway and Kentish Town, and on the Centre line between Queensway and Holland Park. A study suggesting an answer to one of Earth's great mysteries: how did dinosaurs get to grow so big? Research from Brazil's State University of Campinas' Institute of Geoscience found dinosaurs evolved to have hollow bones with inner structures known as air sacs, which made their skeletons lighter and less dense to help blood oxygen circulate. Very different from our dense human bones. And there's more. The study analysed fossils to suggest these complex body networks evolved separately at least 3 times and actually have similar bone structures to modern-day birds. Scientists find that cutting social media use by as little as 15 minutes per day can improve mental and physical health. In the study of 50 participants in their 20s, the Swansea University team compared outcomes of groups who didn't reduce their socials with those who did something else for a quarter of an hour. The findings revealed the group asked to reduce social media use had fewer colds, a 50% improvement in sleep quality, and 30% fewer depressive symptoms. Let's go to the ads. Stay there for more news from the world of tech and science, plus EV car fears and world record twins. Why not hit rate and follow in the meantime? Welcome back. A study has found a major increase in the number of people worried about the dangers posed by driverless cars. A survey by the American Automobile Association says while there's a big interest in the technology, people are still wary about the risks posed by self-driving vehicles. Now, 68% of drivers surveyed reported concerns about driverless cars compared to 55% the previous year. Staying with future transport, and the first e-scooter rider to sue over a crash has lost £30,000 claim for injuries after failing to prove that a pothole caused her fall. In the first case of its kind, Giovanna Drago told Central London County Court she broke a leg while riding her Xiaomi Mi Pro 2 e-scooter at dusk in North London in late 2020, blaming a large and dangerous pothole in the road. But Barnet Council denied liability, and Drago could prove no evidence that the pothole photo she showed the court was the one she allegedly hit, and the judge cleared the local authority of fault. And finally, 2 Canadian siblings born 126 days earlier than anticipated have officially set a world record for becoming history's most premature twins. When their mum, Shakina Rajendram, went into labour nearly 22 weeks early, she was told there was no possibility the brother and sister would survive. But Adia and Adriel were born weighing just 330 grams and 420 grams respectively, and received resuscitation, nutrition and vital organ support at Toronto's Mount Sinai Hospital. So how are these little miracles getting on a year later? Well, the pair have just celebrated their first birthday and look very lively indeed in the photos. You're up to date. Come back at 4 p.m. for the Leader podcast, bringing you the latest news, interviews and analysis from the Evening Standard here in London. We'll be back on Monday at 1 p.m. See you then.